Hello, this is Gerald Tuavanois. This is part 2 of a video in which I try to show you how certain focuses on letters also are describable in the frequencies. They are all descriptions of how we orientate ourselves in space and time and in the full context of what we see. And I already started from the A, the A, the E, or the E, and the I, or the I, continuing. I will continue from there to TO and H, and end in K, Z, W, and S. Sorry for my bad English, so that I make some mistakes in that part, but okay, I hope you understand everything I say. And I started already in showing you how every word almost is like an ecolocalization projection of what we see and what we name and what we try to see in our reality before us, and we describe it with the letter A or A. We seems to focus upon an object. It is as if it bounces there and we see. That's our first impression of what we see in space. If we can't do that and the object is not very steady, we can still also see where it's going, so that's the E. Or we see it in the context, where more or less it is going and being in space with the letter E. And I had shown them as a bouncing. So you have the bounce until the object, you have a bounce into the time aspect, and you have also a bounce into the full reflection of our full space. That's these kind of three bounces are expressed in these three letters as a horizontal, on the horizontal plane, because it also shows you, this is more or less the space in which I assume the object that I name is there, or this is the more or less the time frame in which I think the object is moving or changing, or I have a certain range in which I can still see the object, or in that particular range it's still working for me, that I can still put it into the logic of my senses and sentences and logic and so on. The second letter that I had, of that I will have, is outside A, E, and I, or A, E, and I, are focusing upon the same range of my space that I'm trying to focus upon. So I have a certain range in space in which I know the object is there and I can start from it. So I start with from A, but I want to be a bit more specific than an estimation. As soon as I'm going to be specific, I also say, okay, until where am I sure that I'm seeing or think to see what I see, or think to name what I have. So it is a certain height, and that's the T which defines the object until where I'm sure that there is an object. It's that certainty aspect of that I'm sure it's up until there. With the O, the same thing. There I see, okay, I'm sure now in this time frame until here I can have an order. Or in the last sound, it is this. I'm going to say, okay, until here I'm sure, or I'm sure that in between what I think is sensible, I can make a logic from it, and if not, then forget it. So these three spaces are there. And we have already now 2 times 3 letters. The A, E, I is already well explained in the last video. And the E, A, or A is then, I will repeat, it determines where the orientation in space starts and ends, so that I have an estimation of its spatial frame. With the T, I can see until where the object will be, that I'm sure of that it will be until there. So that's a distinction of the position. So there I'm sure about its position, most sure about its position. The E determines the movement, where it starts and ends also, and that is the estimation within a certain time frame. With the O, I have the vertical part there, so I determine until where the time frame is going. So I have the a distinction of terms and periods and things like that. The E is the workable frame. With H, I determine until where I can have a logical distance from where I am at this point, and I'm making a logic, and I'd say, okay, until here I can follow this. So these are the three vertical parts that are determining until where I can measure these regions of space, of time, or of context. And you can recognize also these letters in the frequencies. It is with the T. It is as if something is bouncing very quickly, and you can, but because of that, you always have this echolocation or echolocalization that I can determine. Okay, I know more or less where the place is in space and what height it has from the bottom up to where it is. And the letter influences the other letters, so that I can have this echolocalization in that at that point in that moment, and the letter works like that. It also works in communication in that way. So you have the right distances, and then you can determine where more or less the spatial frame is there, and from where to where it is, and I can determine finally, because of this, its position and then also its function or its spatial existence. The O, same thing. You have in the frequencies, it is almost like this hollow space there, but because there is some variation at you only see it here at the end, until where it goes. So there is a period. You follow the period. So you follow, okay, it's a starting point and ends. It is a time frame. It's an interpretation. So if people who are very busy with spectrograms and say, no, this is not what's there. Okay, that's my interpretation. That's what I interpreted from the letter positions alone. So I know where it is about. It is about time frames, and because I hear it, there's a kind of alertness, that you see that something is there, and this something is there is not on a space, it's more there as an event. It's more there, something happened. So you have a time frame. So that's what you do. You make terms, you make a period, you have an awareness that an event occurred, and it fits into a time frame. That's what the letter O makes as an alert. It's very physical. You hear it like that. There's the clicking sound of the echolocalization. The O is in the same thing, but then as an echolocalization in a time frame. And the last one is the echolocalization on a conscious level, let's say. We don't use that sound very often, but I use it sometimes when I can determine that the logic which is followed is no longer following the context. And there are not many words with but it is a bit like hut in Dutch, which is also which also makes distance from what is a personal view and makes it an impersonal view. Hut makes it impersonal. It's an impersonal personification of a thing. If I say it correctly, it makes a distance from the personal viewpoint. The physical orientation is a personal view on what I see, what I think, and so on. The second category with time, it is used for communication. The last one of context is used for the impersonal definitions. That's your impersonal view. So when I define it as hut, I determine a space with a T, but with a H, I determine what is logic, what is logical, and what has a current context and what not. And we use the ahem, we still use as well. So we use that sound a little bit as well, or just slightly, to attract attention and take a little bit of distance also from what is going on. That's the context. So I didn't have any frequencies to show you because I can't find any, and I don't have tools to make it. So what did we have with these three letters? The T, the O, and the H. The T was a spatial reference, the O a time reference, and the H, it's a context reference. And with this spatial reference, I could determine also a certain function. I could give it a certain function in space. With the O, I can also make, it's not just a time reference, I can also, it's used as a change of position there as well. And the H, I already told you, is a distance from, taking also a distance from current events. Separate actually the context from the context that is followed and see that where it matches, it's the border from where it matches and where it doesn't anymore. And now did I start from the middle point that I have already. So I have the starting point, the middle point. I can of course also add the last letter in the row of 3. It's always, everything is part of 3, beginning, a highlight and an ending. Here I take the ending, the limits, and so I also will add the limits in what I see, the limits in what I hear, the limits in what my logic is being able to follow. And it is being able to follow the physical part until the K. Okay, it's the end of the border until here I can see it. So there's also starts the point where I will not be able to see it anymore. The same in the time frame. The Z and the W are also there, from where you have the borders, and the S as well. You have the borders. So I will explain them a little bit. And the best thing to explain them is that it reaches the border of what I see. It is not just the limits, it's also the limits that if I would continue to go into a direction that I don't see, I'm going into the wrong direction. It's a part where I don't see, so it's a limit on what I can see. So K is until where or which limit I can see, or can, and also the part where I cannot see and where I can determine its position. After that or beyond that, I can no longer determine its position. The Z is also from there or where I can determine or can't determine what is changing there, what is changing in time, or where I can follow up all of its changes afterwards with the W. The S as well, it's also the last frame where I can say, okay, here I can follow or not follow up anymore this whole frame of references, that I can still find the context or not. That's the last, that's my last region and last border until where I can still keep up and follow the logic. Anyhow, I hope this also was a presentation that helped you to understand the letters better in this context and with this frame of understanding. And I also had some help of showing the frequencies, and that helps maybe a little bit as well. So thanks for watching. There's a list of previously recorded videos there, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like. Thanks again. Bye.